India, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So you finished watching that whole video?
Which one?
The one that I sent earlier.
Oh, the red pill philosophy.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, I watched most of it. I don't think I watched like the last 5 minutes of it. Got kind of boring.
But what did you make of it?
Of SpaceX or his opinion?
About the whole thing, yeah. What was your entire analysis?
I don't think SpaceX is doing it. I think it's much ado about nothing. I don't think it's a flat Earth killer because I don't think it's ever going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. You can't kill flat Earth with a moon mission because it doesn't determine the shape of the Earth.
Yeah, you can't do it with video either. That's never going to work. I mean, just think of it from like a scientific point of view. Like, if you were going to send in, like, you wanted to get in the journal Science or Nature or the Annals of Physics, you wouldn't send them video. Okay,
No.
they'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here." Return the sender. Send something real, man. We want some science, not your video, buddy. And that would be the end of that.
Exactly. But I bet they're paying someone to do it. Or it's one of their own.
Well, they have to design from scratch the life support system. So, like, dude, they're not doing that. It's just not happening.
They're too lazy.
I mean, it's just too expensive and too difficult. Think about it. You got to test it. When we know they don't test anything.
How long do you think it would take them to make the life support system?
To engineer it, 6 years.
Holy shit.
Well, dude, you're responsible for the life of a human being in the vacuum of space.
Yeah.
And you got to make all sorts of fail-safe systems. And, like, I mean, what are they going to... Obviously, if it's a civilian, right? So he's not going to be a pilot. He's not going to be able to operate it. So I can't even conceive of, like, how they're going to do it. Are they going to, like, shoot it up like it's a cannon and they're going to just get a perfect shot and it's going to go around the moon once and come home?
I guess they're releasing that information, or not releasing it. I don't know, but like pre-releasing, like when they'll have that information on September 17th.
Yeah, I think it's just a press story, and the thing's supposed to be looks like the space shuttle. I mean, come on, man. I still don't know how they know how fast they're going in space. I mean, something simple like that. Like, how do I know how fast I'm going?
They don't have a measurement of how fast they're going.
How could they? Think like in an airplane, it works by air pressure.
Uh-huh.
So they have a thing called a pitot tube, and the speed that the air goes by that tube, they can tell like that difference of pressure. They can estimate the speed of the aircraft.
Right.
The same thing works in a boat. A car has an odometer or a speedometer, right? And that works by counting the rotations of the wheel.
Right.
Well, in outer space, what do you got?
Nothing.
It's vacuum.
And nothing.
You have no reference system of how fast you're going relative to anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, something so simple like your speed, you can't tell how fast you're going.
True.
And I've asked a bunch of, I've asked all Gen Pandas goons, asked on, like, the Nathan's live chat. No one has an answer. They can't even go, well, oh, here it is. Like, they can't, and then there's the attitude indicator. There's no way that can work in space. Like, which way the aircraft is pointed.
I do kind of want to go over to Gen Panda server and see what they all have to say about this.
Oh, they're probably like fapping in the corner, man. We're close to Mars. We're this much closer to Mars.
Probably.
Yeah. Someone will probably, it'll probably be like they'll fake it. There'll be a catastrophic accident, and then they can push back everything like another 10 or 15 years while they investigate.
That's what they do best.
Yeah, repeatedly. Oh, we're getting too close to having to meet expectations. Let's have an accident. They've done it a bunch of times. I mean, I'm like, I don't know. With Skylab, like first I remember with Skylab, it burnt up. It fell out of orbit too fast, so they had to analyze that. And then they didn't do
Skylab?
anything
What's
from
Skylab?
Skylab was like the International Space Station. It was a satellite.
Uh,
It was a little teeny one. It was made out of They took a Saturn V rocket, like the tube, a length of tube, and they made that into an orbiting satellite with, they stuck some solar panels on it supposedly and launched that into space.
oh, they're tinfoil
Yeah, it was like the
satellites.
second stage section of a Saturn V with like caps welded on it and a door, and that was the space station.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
remember those big pictures of like the tinfoil potato looking things. That shit made me hungry for a baked potato. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah, no doubt. So that ended up falling out of orbit too soon, and like that like set everything back a while. So they didn't go to like back to space from like 1976 to the space shuttle launched in like 81. They didn't go anywhere. Like between the space shuttle and the gap, there was when they did the connection with the Soyuz Apollo with the Russians. They
So
connected with the
Apollo
Russians.
17 was their last mission.
No, the Soyuz Apollo. So they docked an Apollo capsule to a Soyuz capsule in orbit. This is the story in orbit. They went through the thing, shook hands with the Russians, and then all went back on their merry way. And then that was like 76, and they didn't put another man into space until the space shuttle launched, which was like 8 years.
Oh shit.
And then they did the space shuttle for a while, and then the space shuttle secretly somehow, with nobody watching, built the International Space Station, and now the Russians launch people to there. So like, and SpaceX is doing like their own fantasy freaking thing. They've never put anybody into orbit. They've never launched anybody to space. So they have no experience. Like, it's one thing to launch, like put a payload of shit that don't matter into space versus a human being that has to stay alive. As far as
So
I know, they've never launched any. Plus, that, like, what did they say? They're going to launch their version of the shuttle, which they've never tested.
mhm. So like I'm curious though, like after the Soyuz mission or whatever you said, um
Yeah, Apollo Soyuz, that's what it's called.
what um what happened after that? What did they say? What were their statements after that mission?
They just
Did
didn't do anything. I don't know
didn't
what
do anything?
happened.
It just went quiet.
Yeah, they were developing the space shuttle. They were making it.
So that's
Quick
the last thing
question.
that you
Money
that,
sending
that
up
we heard about
rockets, and
before it went silent.
yeah, it was basically why waste money sending you know rockets up that we can't reuse, and we're going to make a reusable space vehicle and save money and make it more affordable.
So it's taken them 40 years to build this space thing.
Space what? Which space
The
thing?
space this where the space vessel you were talking about. They were have to build it or whatever.
No, it went. I think you're confused.
I think I
It
am
went
too.
Apollo, right, and then they did this space lab thing, and
Uh-huh.
they played with that for a while, and then they went up and they docked with the Russians. And
Mhm.
in the meantime, the space lab, which no one was on, supposedly crashed. So supposedly crashed in the ocean. So they had no reason to go up there because they had nowhere to go. They
Right.
had no way, because all they had before that was just basically a freaking a Roman candle with a freaking capsule on the top of it. So they went to the moon. There's no point in doing orbits. You can't do science in an Apollo capsule. What are you going to do in that little thing? Nothing. So they had no reason. They had no reason to spend money. They couldn't come up with a plausible lie. We're going to go do science in this little capsule. So they came up with the space shuttle so they could do science in that thing, supposedly. And it was going to be cheaper. So, everyone was for it. I don't think it was ever cheaper.
No. They use big words they don't understand.
Yeah. So they ended up, and the last gasp of the space shuttle was to build the International Space Station. And that's what's up there. And of course, various satellites. But, the International Space Station where they never look at any stars. I'm going to go to space and I'm going to ignore the stars. Fuck them things. I'm going to stare at the Earth. I can't. I can't learn anything about the stars in space. I'll stare at the Earth, and when I'm on the Earth, I'll stare at the stars.
That is kind of funny that they don't take an account for the stars.
You think that they would like? Okay, we're gonna not even like the Hubble, right? So we're up in space. We're gonna bring a big ass telescope up. We're gonna bring like just one that comes off the shelf, like a Celestron or something. We're
Mhm.
gonna bring up a 10-inch telescope and look at the stars.
Right.
But they don't do that for some reason.
Sounds like they're
To bring
too
up some
lazy.
football jerseys, but not a telescope and some toys and freaking bubbles and every other stupid thing in the world. Like if you think about the stuff they do, man. It's just so like
Absurd.
cartoonish and yeah, it's absurd and ridiculous. Like what are they doing? Then they're like, can I have $9 billion so I can do dumbass shit in space?
Meanwhile, all that money could go to people that are homeless, you know?
It could go to anything. Anything would be better than what they're doing or not doing. I mean, what science have they done? I've never like read a scientific paper where like, yeah, this phenomenon was discovered on the International Space Station, and we've managed to like, come up with a new theory or talk about some new physics because of this observed phenomenon that we have. No, I've never read like this stuff's been going in the air for I don't know 40 years, and I've never read a single research paper that used anything that they developed in space scientifically on Earth.
I mean, it would
Nothing.
have been so much cooler if they would have just told us the fucking truth that the Earth was flat, you know, and explore the Earth that way.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I still don't understand why they did what they did. I'm still like, at a loss. I don't know. I think part of it's just they were just fucking wrong, dude. And they didn't want to admit it, like a little kid.
We didn't do it.
Yeah, like, dude, we've been telling them this shit for like 200 years, man, and we're wrong, man. They're gonna hang us.
I mean,
Because at first,
if they were hanging people for it, then you know they're hiding something. They are definitely hiding something.
there's so much occult behind it too. Like in the beginning, like just like even the stuff. I was reading some stuff to Jose last night that I came across, and it's not even old. It's like from the 1940s, in like the early or the late 1800s, and the terms they use are like Magnus Orbis and like all these like occult terminologies of stuff you think you would read in a magic book,
Yeah,
not in an
Magnus.
astronomy
Yeah,
book.
it sounds occultic.
Yeah, Magnus Orbis and
Magnus is
what
like
was
a
the other one?
warlock name.
And like Prima, what did they call it? The Prime something.
Prime Meridian.
No, it was like something to describe the celestial sphere that they had like all these weird words to describe like the heavens.
The celestial sphere.
Yeah, the stars basically. They call it the celestial sphere.
Prime.
Here, hold on. I'll read some of it to you. Hold on.
All right.
Hey, Raven, you still there? Raven song. I'm gonna start singing like Donkey. I'm all alone.
Shrek, where'd you go, Shrek? Hey, Donkey's one of my favorite too.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Eddie Murphy at his best.
Yeah, that's some stuff I could definitely sit down and watch with the kids. When my boy was young, it was Ice Age and the Squirrel.
Oh yeah, I've watched all them like a zillion times, man.
I'd come home after work at night, man. He'd be awake waiting for me, and I'd be stoned as hell, and he'd put it right in.
India, were you here this whole time?
I'd laugh my ass off, and the kid loved it.
No, I left and I had to use the phone and I came back.
Oh, okay, because I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I seen
Yeah.
the funniest shit on Facebook today. It was a penis park in Korea. You ever seen that?
No,
I
a
was like,
penis park.
yeah, I was like, get the hell out of here. They got a whole park dedicated to penises. Woo!
Oh, I thought you meant somewhere to park your penis. I thought they called that a glory hole.
Right. I thought it would go along with that collection of penises the Vatican's got that they chiseled off all the statues.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
I could just imagine most women at this park, man. They got them big concrete, toys. Every woman in the world want a picture on that. I was looking through the pictures. They got kids there looking at them. I thought, no, what's wrong with the fucking Koreans?
They don't have hang-ups like us. They're a little weird.
Some of the artwork there is crazy.
So Raven, want me to read that to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So check it out. There's something called that. I can't even. It's hard for me even to say this. I have to look it up again. And I just looked at it. The pronunciation of this. It's called equinoctial. Equinoctial, right?
Mhm.
So equinoctial means related to the equinox. So this entry, it's in a Encyclopedia of the Arts and Sciences, like
Hello,
old
baby.
book. So it says equinoctial in astronomy, a great and immovable circle of the sphere under which the equator moves in its diurnal motion. The equinoctial line is ordinarily confounded with the equator, but there's a difference. Now listen to this. This is where it gets weird. The equator being movable and the equinoctial line being immovable, and the equator drawn about the convex surface of the sphere, which would be probably the Earth, but the equinoctial line on the concave surface of the Magnus Orbis. See equator. The equinoctial is conceived by supposing a semi-diameter of a sphere produced through a point of the equator, and there by the rotation of the sphere about its axis, describing a circle on the immovable surface of the primum mobile. Now tell me that doesn't sound occultic to you.
Yeah, it does.
And this isn't even that old. And I bet you if you like looked back at older and older astronomy books, they were weirder and weirder.
Hello,
This
dear
was
brothers. How are you
heliocentrism,
doing?
wasn't it?
Say that again, Raven.
This
Hi,
was based
Komari.
off of heliocentrism.
Yeah, yeah. This is the entry for the equinox in the astronomy section of the Encyclopedia or Universal Dictionary of Arts and Sciences. And
Maybe it was satanic.
actually, they have a one called the Catechism of Astronomy.
What is that?
I don't know if that's from the Catholic Catechism, like the Catholic Church. So you have the Catechism of the Saints or whatever. So this is the Catechism of Astronomy. Don't ask me, dude, why they put a religious connotation to it. But it says in there.
Satanic.
But it says in there that the equinox at that time, when they wrote it, they said the equinox was on March 10th and September 12th. And now it's March 20th and September 22nd.
Them damn
So,
Jesuits.
how did all that change, man? Yeah, exactly.
No.
Like, would the sun switch or something? Did it go crazy? Yeah, like
Sounds like it.
these are like things like the Globers, like everything's so perfect. Like you read any of the old stuff, they only say it's perfect now. They didn't say it was perfect back then.
Right. It sounds like they got ball drift.
Yeah.
Maulinian parallax.
And like if you measure the sun going through the what do you call it? The signs of the zodiac, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not even. So it spends more time in the north part of the zodiac than it does in the southern part of the zodiac. And I can't find any reason why that this would happen.
Really?
Yeah, so like if you're north, you like the signs that are like, so you got the ecliptic, which is the line from the equator to the celestial sphere. The sun, for some reason, stays in on that side, like the northern side, more than the southern side.
Like it runs slower through that path than it does through the other.
Yeah. Or what was it? Well, think if it moves at say one speed, and the distances in the south of the equator are
50
longer.
degrees per hour, right? Yeah.
But listen, they say that it's not 15 degrees per hour. In this book that I'm reading, it says, as the sun's motion is unequal and it is sometimes swifter or sometimes slower, it comes to pass that there are about 8 days more from the vernal to the autumnal equinox than from the autumnal to the vernal equinox. The sun spending
They're talking
so
about
much more.
Talking about fall.
Yeah, we're talking about the seasons or whatever as they designate them, the astronomical seasons.
And
it says spending much more time traveling through the northern than the southern signs.
In a heliocentric universe, that means the Earth has to either slow up or slow down on the rotational axial rotation or on the orbit. One of the two.
Something's got to happen.
Something's got to slow down and then speed up.
Yeah.
So we got a little elf down there banging gears, right?
Yeah, exactly. Check your watch. Speed it up.
Right. Oh, it's that time, man. Put the hooter down. Bang second gear.
See, I think it's like if you look at some of the older stuff before the space age, the so-called space age, that they're more truthful with what they believed, like what they observed. Nowadays, they just like pretend that that doesn't exist, like those anomalies.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, it is. It literally makes no sense. None.
Dude, this says that the equator is movable.
Right.
How does the equator move?
The equatorial plane moves.
Yeah. Because the equinox moves, and then the equator is set by where the equinox is. So it's like two things. Like you have to figure out two of them. Space and time have to coincide at some point.
Right. I have to wonder if that's where they started with the ideal precession or the wobble of the axis.
That's another thing that they mentioned in this. I'll read you that. They called it. It says it's found that by observation, the equinoctial points and all the other points of the ecliptic are continually moving backwards, and that is westward. This retrograde motion of the equinoctial points is that famous and difficult phenomena called the precession of the equinox. To me, that sounds like they don't know why it happened, at least at the time they wrote this, or that they couldn't figure it out, like why it was happening. Now they say there's a wobble or something.
Yeah.
And then there's something called a nutation, which is like a wobble within the wobble. So it isn't just wobbling, it's like wiggling around that, like, so you wobbles, it makes like a little small circle of the pole. But inside that small circle, it's like a wobble that wobbles back and forth, which is retarded. I don't feel that motion either.
Somebody was spinning the top on a table when they came up with that idea.
I've actually never seen a top actually do anything like that. I mean, I've seen it precess, but I've never seen like the precession wobble, like
Consistently. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it'll wobble and then fall down.
Right. It's either straight up and down or in its course to chaos. There's no stabilized wobble.
Yeah, I'll post that image in voice text on.
Here, I'll be right back.
India, you know what's really funny and really fucked up at the same time? If the sun is doing that crazy stuff, what about the stars behind it, right?
Yeah, like they're like, it's kind of like they're looking at like the sun, and they're using the stars as the background, and they're like comparing the two versus where you are viewing it on the Earth. So it's
Exactly.
like they don't like exactly match up, like to they like the motions. Like if you say, okay, we're moving this way against the background stars, well, the sun isn't moving the same way the Earth is moving. There's some difference there. Like, kind of doesn't make sense. And then it depends on where you are. So if like you're in the north, it moves faster than you're in the south, and like, or it moves slower. That's the reverse. So it moves slower in the north.
Exactly.
Which would make it actually make sense on the flat Earth model, because each one of our things is like, okay, the sun, like if it's making a circuit around the plane, why is like the seasons kind of equal, like the divisions of the year kind of equal. Well, but because in the north it'll be a smaller circle, and it's making smaller circles than in the south. That's a bigger circle. Well, if it's going slower in the north, then it's obvious why it would be symmetrical. Because if it's in the south moving faster, it'll cover a greater distance and even out. But apparently, it doesn't even out completely.
Hey, real quick, can
Yep.
someone give the new user role to the guy that's in the 24/7 welcome? I just talked to him. He seems legit. So could someone give him that role?
Yeah, I got you, Jose.
All right, thank you.
Omar, did you see? Have you been like in Flat Earth Council? Did you see that announcement?
No, not yet. I will do.
Yeah, it's just about a little thing that changed with the voice chat, so they stopped like disrupting it. Everyone that joins the server is automatically muted, right? All new users without a role, they're automatically muted, and they can only talk in that welcome 24/7 channel.
Nice.
But they can listen in every other channel. So what we want is people to like basically vet them all the way down to silver and up. Anyone can vet them, and if they're okay, then you can move them into another voice channel, and then unmute them, and they can talk. But if they leave that voice channel, as soon as they leave, they're going to be muted again everywhere except for the welcome to 24/7 channel. So all you have to do is like, if you vet them and they, then they turn out to be jerks, then just move them, and they'll be locked out basically again. You don't even have to ban them or do anything. Just move them to another channel. If they try to move back in, they'll be muted.
Wow, that's way better, man. Well done.
Yeah, yeah. Rig came up with the idea, and then the way he implemented it, it turned out like better than expected.
Yeah, it's
Indeed.
working really good.
I actually haven't heard anyone scream, "The Earth is round" all day.
It's gonna make it hard on them to raid.
That and Sheppel.
Yeah.
He gets mad if you give out rolls. I don't care what he says, but he's not always here, so.
Dude, he'll ban someone for not using the correct floor cleaner.
I say vinegar and baking soda.
Yesterday he banned 3 guys because they were in the room with us. He's like, 3 motherfuckers in here. Kosho, kosho, kosho. Bye bye.
That's funny.
It is.
Hey, can someone do me a favor? Because I'm on a phone right now. I can't do this. One of the admins or mods, can you change the settings to this live stream so that as many people that want to join could join it, that it has no limit, or give it the max limit? Because essentially we can't get interrupted no more, so we don't have to worry about limiting people joining in this voice chat. I think right now the limit is 50.
Yeah,
I think we
that's a
should
good idea. I'll change it.
Yeah, expand it to the most we can. That way, more people come and just listen. You know.
Yeah, I set it to 99.
Yeah, that's how they show the procession now. They used to show it as a linear movement, just back and forth. That's funny.
Sheeple cracks me up.
Yeah, he can be funny. Oh, I'll give you your roll. Oops, wrong button. Oh well. I'll give it to you when you get out of cog disc.
I see you in 30 days.
Right. The way it's set up, it's straight. We really didn't need all them other lobbies. All we had to do was restrict everybody, because we can unmute people and let them talk. And then once they open their mouth, we know where they stand within a minute.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is it takes care of that little loophole of using voice chat while you're muted from text channels. And since you're going to be sitting there being bored, right, because they're muted in text, they're kind of like forced to, unless they want to sit there, to interact, on voice.
Or listen. Yep.
Yeah, or listen. Yeah. Listen before they open their mouth and stick their foot in it. I'm going to school all these dumb flat earthers. They don't know nothing.
We need to make one voice chat and call it the Hans's Playhouse. Or Hans's Treehouse. Then when he gets annoying, we can just move him to his treehouse.
I wish we could lock people in one voice channel. It's like a form of torture. The same way we lock them in Cogdis, lock them in religion with Hans.
All we need to do is get Sheppel to be on more often. He does that. He cracks me up. You can tell when he's on duty because the voice chat just 15 people leave all at once. You have no role. You have no role. You are interviewed. It's your turn. It's all good though. It's hard enough arguing with people who want to start at the bottom because they couldn't get to the advanced level debate if they wanted to. And then
Yeah.
and then you got the guys that come in with the absurdities.
The only problem
Yeah,
with this
well,
setup is that the only people we're debating were people that didn't have roles. So it's like we have no one to debate now. That's how I see it. The only issue. Like
Right.
now we have to go through a process to get a debate going. It's the only issue with this. But it does stop the whole the people without a role just coming in and running amok.
well, you know what? Maybe it's something we can like turn on and off, like when it gets busy, like on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. We just we turn it on so that like we can't get rated and everything's restricted. But then like during the week when it's dead, we just turn it off.
Right. Or we can just make a meme that says, if you want to speak, ask in text lobby.
I think that still has a good idea. Like right now would be a good time to turn it on. I think because right now slow. There's a lot of us. We can manage it, but it's in the night when like everyone is in here, like 50 people, 20 people, and everyone's trying to talk over each other. That's when it gets really difficult.
Yeah, you can mute everybody that doesn't have a role with one click. Love it.
No, so what you do? Just change to everyone.
Yeah, you just change everybody because I loaded all the roles in there, so every other role has permissions. That's Riggs wasn't hip to that. He just changed everybody, and then I got silvers and valued and on the fence going, why can't I talk in BC, Mike?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, because you were covered by the everybody role, because it was just admin mods and everybody. And
You know
go,
how it is when you try to make it easy, like, oh, I'll just do it on everyone. Then you just like add 10 times more work instead of just like going and doing everyone individually. It always backfires.
yeah, he didn't realize that we did it the simple route from the beginning, so he just added all that work. From the beginning, we just made roles for the people we were going to give permissions to in that lobby.
Yeah.
And when he restricted the one that covered everybody that doesn't have permissions, you had to there and go and set up permissions for every role in the damn book. And then I looked, there's like 30 roles. I'm like, oh my God. Hey, I kind of see why Antikytherium tripped out a little bit, because every time he added a new function to the bot, he had to go through and redo the perms for every channel in the server.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of work. And
It was,
then
man.
after
He volunteered.
Nice, Auntie.
right, he volunteered for it. He did. I think he just got to where he had to sit down and do too much work every day, and frickin' then he find things that he want to do, and that adds more work. I think he just got frustrated. He was doing so much work, and he wasn't getting no recognition for it. And that's understandable, man. I run 130 people, you know what I mean? I get that.
We're
When
still
guys in my
waiting to come
crew
back.
get to feeling like that, I have to deal with it. So,
Look, like honestly, people did try to give him recognition, but he would be like, "Nah, man, it's all ours," and da 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 da. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Maybe he felt a different way inside, but like outside, like when people tried to
Praise
compliment
him
him,
for it.
he kind of like pushed it back. So eventually that stops. You keep pushing someone back when they try to compliment you. Eventually, they're going to stop. They're going to listen to you.
yeah, because we all used to try to tell him thanks, me, you, and Jose, but every
Oh, I did
time,
too.
Almost everyone did. Yeah.
yeah, and you're
Not
right,
Matt Phil, but everyone else.
right, and he did a lot of times. He's like no big thing, but it honestly was. That's why you can see it with Jaren. Jaren don't want to go through and do all that shit.
Yeah, of course not. Who would? I mean, it's kind of a pain in the ass.
It is. He should have. Makes me wonder why, we didn't just teamwork it out. Be like, hey, you go through and edit all the permissions in this lobby, make them this way. You can always screenshot an example.
Yeah, exactly.
We could have broke the work up, and he could have been spending less time doing, repetitive crap. Get to feeling like a production worker.
Yeah.
I mean, but that was his fault. He pushed us away. So
He's a damn cocky Canadian, man. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to brag. I've always been a humble person. You don't brag about what you got. You enjoy it and you share it. I was raised like this. Material shit don't matter. It'll stay here when we leave. But if we have souls, we'll share the afterlife together. So it's people that matter. The souls you share life with.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I couldn't say it better myself, man.
And my grandma used to always say that, it doesn't matter what you got. You can give it away and get more. When you die, you can't take it with you. It's people that matter to me. I could give two shits less about things. Don't get me wrong, I love my cars, but I put a lot of work on them. And dude, I've built cars that I've given away.
Oh, believe me, if Godzilla came through Michigan and stomped all your cars, you'd be pissed.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't just be pissed. I'd be hunting that big lizard. I've never ate me a goddamn Godzilla, but I'm gonna. Hey, you're mad when you don't just want to kill it. You want to eat it.
Yeah. Hannibal Lecter.
Right. I'm going to fry you, boy. Hannibal. Oh, yeah. I'll make him eat his brains before I cook him.
Oh my God, Don Treader is playing Super Flat Earth role right now in the lobby. Dude, this is kind of weird, man. Check it out. He's
I
like
swear.
handling trolls. He's handling trolls for us.
What?
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Hey, I think Dawn Treader's Grayson with a voice changer.
Which one is he? Oh.
It says
Hold
Dawn.
on. What's his name?
What's Don's name?
Dawn.
Treader.
Oh,
It used to be. Now it's Don Treader.
is that the name he's using now?
Yeah,
Dude.
Don Treader.
I thought he was using another name. I thought he was using something else yesterday.
Yeah, he was using Koala. But I think we made him feel comfortable enough to use Don Treader. I think the reason he was using Koala was because he's like, I get this feeling that these guys are letting me back, but if they see my name, they're gonna ban me. If I talk, they're gonna ban me. But
Yeah.
I talked to him really cool. I talked to him really cool yesterday. I was like, hey man, I'm glad you're back. Blah blah. I heard you've stayed away from bullshit, and I would give you respect for that, man. And he's like, yeah, those guys over there are fucking disgusting people. They dox you. I don't like that shit. We were kind of talking about that a little bit on voice, and I think he felt comfortable enough to like maybe put his name, his original name. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think he realized, like, you lay down with skunks, man, you're going to start to smell. You know?
Yeah. No shit.
Even if you believe that, like, what they believe, man, but that's not even my problem with, like, John Panda and them people. That's the least of my worries. It's the dirty ass shit they do.
Yeah. I mean, that GIF that Me More posts about Alex, whatever that dude's name is, the one that got caught whacking off, Atheist Rex.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Dude, hey, when I said they were all a bunch of wifeless single men, they didn't say shit. Like, I know not one of you wankers has got a wife. There's no way in hell you talk to women like that and you have one. The only men that treat women like that are men that can't get a woman. And they think it's because the women are messed up, not because they're messed up. Nothing wrong with me. you got an alcoholic saying, "There's nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with the women today?" When he beats his last girlfriend away, you know.
Yeah.
That shit kills me. I can't stand guys like that. It's like, dude, like if you keep, no matter what it is you do in life, if you keep coming across the same situation, then something you do is wrong. Not what other people is doing. It's you.
Yeah. You might be the problem.
You know? I mean, I have to consider that. All people should consider that. You can't keep coming to the same point unless you're traveling the same path. You're the only one in control of your path. What's up with the FE enforcer? He keeps going from moderator to just enforcer. What's up with that? People keep giving him mod, trying to make him work in the voice text.
One thing I don't like about my wife is that she plays that blame game shit. Someone's always at fault no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what. Even if it's complete like random bullshit, dude. You know, a storm happens, it's someone's fault. Someone is to blame.
I live in that world too, Indio.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you.
It's not necessarily me, even though often it is. I started
Right.
a bunch of wars. I think I'm the reason the economy crashed too. I don't know.
A guy asked me one day, why did I work so much? How could I work 16 hours and go home to go to the barn? And I say, that's what I got to do to not be wrong. When I'm in the barn, it's not my fault. But a lot of times it is. Sometimes I come in and I'm in trouble because stuff happened because I was in the barn too long.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my life in a nutshell, man.
Yeah. I learned to just take it. I'm like, okay, my bad.
My two oldest kids will be arguing over the Xbox or something. It's my fault for not stopping them from arguing. Okay, so next time I stop them, it's my fault for butting in and being too harsh. Doesn't matter what I do. What do you want me to do? Do nothing? Do something? Which one am I going to do?
It depends on the mood that day, brother. It depends on the mood.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I need an astrologer.
We call that menopause, bro. Only time will fix that. And sometimes not.
Yeah.
I just tell my wife she better be happy there's no such thing as menopause.
You can invent it.
Right. That's when you wake up, my 78 Ford mud truck's parked in the bedroom. What the hell? I didn't like that wall. I'll fix it tomorrow. That's what you call a redneck complaint. You know,
Yeah.
you know when a redneck's complaining because he parks his truck in your front room. My dad used to always say that. I'm like, Dad, we're not rednecks. We live on a farm. You're more of a city guy than most city guys. My dad was Native American, though. He thought anybody on a farm in America was a redneck. We live on a farm, boy. We're rednecks. No, Dad.
Nah. You got to have the Confederate flag in the back window.
Right, he failed. He had a college degree. You already failed. You're not a redneck.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Gone. Not a redneck.
You got a college degree, Dad. You
No,
can't
if
be
you
no
have a high
redneck.
school diploma.
If you even filled out an application to go to college, you're not a redneck.
Right.
That's funny.
If you get a high school diploma, you're not a redneck.
Raven. Yeah, if your high school diploma doesn't say good enough, dude. Good enough, dude. Although my dad did do a lot of redneck engineering, or depending on who you might call it Polish engineering. Like my dad could weld with a coat hanger and 2 car batteries. I don't see too many people do that today. And he'd weld it up so good that it didn't have to go in the garage and be done up perfect once you got it done. It was done.
Boy, go get that edumacation.
Right.
Hello.
Oh, how's it going?
Hello.
Right. I've got 2 main questions that I've sort of been thinking about. They sort of trouble me a lot. So there's this lake in I'm not sure, America, is it? It's like Lake Port with telegraph wires or something.
Pontchartrain.
Yeah. Soundly's video. You want the debunk video for that?
Sure, yeah.
I mean, if you believe there was that much curvature in that short of a distance, and you believe the globe is only 10,000 miles in circumference or something,
It's like
And you
10,000
also
kilometers.
and you only have the curvature on one axis, not on 2 axes. Remember, we're on a sphere, not a paper towel.
You
It's pretty
lost.
obvious that it's just distortion of the atmosphere. Like, you understand, like when you're looking towards the beach and there's some days where the temperatures are really bad, you get this mirroring effect on the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's a distortion layer that like kind of makes shit just invisible because you can't see past that distortion. So it appears like the water actually fell off, but it's not. It's just a distortion of the atmosphere.
So check it out. The water there is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So, it's steamy, to say the least. But hey, Jose, did you see My Perspective's new one?
Yeah, I did. I actually did see that. I saw it this morning. Sojourner dropped it off, and I clicked as soon as he dropped it because I love My Perspective, his video. So I'm like, oh, I think this is a new one because I've never seen it, and it was on Lake Pontchartrain. Yeah, he did a pretty good job on it too.
But he pretty much, in my opinion, proved that Soundly frauded that video. Okay, when he does like the pan, right, and he says, "Listen, the ones in the front got to move faster than the ones in the back, and they all move at the same speed." That means
Right.
there's some shady shit going on, and I knew he was going to get busted. I knew it. And it takes an artist, man, to look at this stuff because they know how things are supposed to look.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I noticed that too. When he pans it, and it looks exactly everything's moving exactly the same, like those poles, everything. It just looks. It doesn't look natural to me.
Yeah. Things in the foreground have to move if you pan it faster than things in the background, and they're moving almost exactly the same.
Right.
I'm sure he's embarrassed.
No, not at all. All the globe richters, still think he's like God,
Yep.
curvature God.
I can't believe none of them say, man, that's too much curve and too short of a distance. We
So
live
my
on
other question. Yeah,
a
you go first,
baseball
yeah. My other question was
about gravity.
you know how globe Earth with gravity works, yeah? How does that work on flat Earth?
Well, first off, we don't deny gravity to 100%. We deny mass attracts mass. It's not like we deny the observed phenomenon of rate of fall, direction of fall. we deny that it's all caused by mass attracting mass. It hasn't been scientifically proven that mass attracts mass, so why would we?
So here's the thing. When you're talking about gravity, are you referring to the law of gravity? Are you referring to Newtonian gravity? Are you referring to Einsteinian gravity? Which gravity are you referring
You
to?
lost me already. You speak you speak smart talk. I speak average talk.
No. It's not even being smart. That's the names of the gravities. You got Newtonian gravity, which is mass attracting other mass. You got Einsteinian gravity, which is the curvature of space time. And then you have the law of gravity, which is the observed phenomena we see, which is 9.8 meters
definitely
per
the
second
law.
squared.
The law of it, right? Because that's how things fall, right?
The law of gravity is just the rate of acceleration. Just the law of the effect, not the cause. It's actually an observed phenomena, a law of nature that they just attribute to a law of science. It's not really a law of science, it's a law of nature. That's the way we observe it every time.
You know, my only problem with gravity, honestly, is that they had to like come up with a force to convince us that it's because of the force, like gravity, things fall down. But they don't come up with a force like for proving to us, you know, a chillingness or coldness or darkness or, you know, anything of that kind. So it doesn't always have to be negative energy or negative force, you know, doing the opposite magic.
Right. The yin and the yang.
Yep.
And I'm sure you know about this already, but you know dark matter. So how
I know the theory of dark matter.
so how for each energy or something. I'm not too like know all about it, but how each like piece of energy or whatever has an opposite of dark matter, like
In
it's
theory.
50-50. Kind of
Yeah,
like
that,
yin and yang. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I don't believe in dark matter whatsoever, man. It's the same uh level of bullshit, you know. They have to, it's out of reach, you know, it's very expensive, it's all that things, you know. So
Is
nobody
it,
can test
your
it in lab.
English is getting better, bro.
What?
Your English is getting better.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to you guys, all the great guys here.
We need to teach you more swears.
I know. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, you know, I would be so thankful if you help me to get rid of this stupid accent I have.
Oh man, it's not stupid.
The translation in French for "fuck you" is "fuck you."
Wait, are you French?
Yeah, that's what people think.
Oh, so are you actually French, or you just have a French accent?
Yeah, I only have a French accent, and I don't even speak French, but I'm
Damn.
not even in French, but
You mentioned French, so I was thinking I can practice my schoolwork here, just so I can
no,
get a job.
no,
If you want to fail, he just said he doesn't speak French, man. He'll do your French
Exactly,
homework, no
yeah.
problem.
yep.
So check it out. Dark matter, right? Like the theory of dark matter, it only exists to repair the theory of gravity being broken. So, like the spiral arms of like a galaxy, right? They suppose that the galaxy is spinning in a circle, right? But
Yep.
according to the theory of gravity, the observable material that they can see, that galaxy should be flying apart into pieces. It should be like, you know, the water flying off a ball that you spin it, like we should observe here, but we don't. But so they invented this thing called dark matter to add this like invisible mass to hold the galaxies together. And that's literally where it comes from.
Honestly, Indio, you know, I was afraid that they want to use that to generate even more crazier or a more crazy force to hold things together, because if they say, the dark matter eat everything up, then it has a force of its kind, So it's pulling everything to itself. And then we have as you said, now we have a different theory of gravity as well. It's dark matter gravity.
The more I think about it, the more questions I come up with. So just another one that's kind of come into my head.
Well, let me say this one more thing about dark matter.
Yeah.
95% of the matter in the universe is dark matter, and you can't see it. So all the stars, galaxies, all this stuff you can actually see, that's only 5%. That's how bad the theory of gravity is broken.
So you know how like energy works in Globuff with how there's like sort of two theories. One, there's a limited amount of energy in the universe is ever expanding, etc. Blah blah blah. And then you have the other one where that energy never changes state. Is that still the same in Globuff, Flat Earth?
Someone else want to deal with space? I'll deal with it. There is no outer space, buddy.
No. I mean like energy though. How you have like a kinetic.
Oh, like the vacuum energy? Like the vacuum energy? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not sure if that is, but from like school education, which you guys also don't agree with, like how kinetic energy, momentum, etc., how all of that sort of works.
Oh, like inertia, momentum, like I think it's Newton's second laws, action, reaction.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we believe in all that. I mean, I do at least. I mean, I don't know about everybody else. But I think, things like inertia, those certainly exist. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest tends to stay at rest. Yeah.
Indio, I call that classic physics. I have no problem with classic physics whatsoever.
I mean, it's just an observation. It's not like, and we can model it a little bit most of the time for most purposes. Good enough for like, you can't tell if there's an error. We can model it to within human perception.
Interesting.
Like quantities that are too small to measure. There could be errors in our ideas about, say, inertia and motion, like extra energy somewhere that are too small to measure.
Yeah, like energy, for all we know, could just be a thing that's somehow created from whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ideas.
Science is like an unwritten book, isn't it? Or unfinished even.
Yeah, because science have gotten off of what it was supposed to be doing, and that is like determining objective reality, and they've like kind of like replaced models and theories with like proper experimentation. So like in the days of the natural philosophers, they would like experiment with physical substances and determine the properties of reality by doing these experiments, telling someone about it, then they would replicate it under the same conditions, and then they would vary the conditions to see like how true these properties would hold, like under vacuum or at temperature or being accelerated. But now they just go, well, we know these basic properties, so let's make this fanciful mathematical model with all this math and say this is reality. And then we'll go find our reality. We'll go like, our model says this, so let's go find if we can find that phenomenon described by our math, which is like cherry picking. It's the wrong way to do it. Instead of just observing what happens and not relying on models and just relying on, we do this, that happens. I cause this effect happens. And not like using our imagination so much. Because things like dark matter, honestly, dark matter, it's your imagination. Quite honestly, it's people's imagination. Nobody tested dark matter, okay? No one experimented with dark matter. No one physically got a hold of dark matter. They can't even perceive it. So it's literally like your imagination. They also say like blue unicorns exist out in space, and that's what holds the galaxy together. It's just as viable as dark matter.
Guess that works, yeah.
You know what's really crazy about the dark matter? What kind of a container do they have to contain it?
And just another thing I thought of. So I'm not sure why stratosphere popped into my head. So does flat Earth have like stratosphere or atmosphere, not stratosphere? Like the sort of layers that globe Earth
You mean
does.
an atmospheric gradient?
I'm not sure if that's what it is. So like
Yeah, a gradient, a separating level of densities of
yeah.
gases and chemicals. Yeah, we do. All pressurized systems do. Under pressure, they tend to separate and create a gradient. We just don't claim it's caused by a fictitious force. And gravity is a fictitious force.
It's interesting. There you go. Oh, actually, something just came to my head. You know that Elon Musk thing of the car in space, was it? That one that was, or was it? I don't know.
How you doing there, Animosity?
Hi.
What's this about? About the Tesla car?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Tesla car. Can you debunk that?
You just have to look at it. It's fake as shit. He even says it himself.
Do you mean Tesla car in space?
Yeah.
Oh my god, man. Uh, it's funny that it's not even scientifically proven for a rocket to work in space, you know.
Because from my understanding on globe Earth, orbit, works like so it's constantly falling if something's in orbit in globe Earth, right?
So you think the car is orbiting?
Yeah.
No,
I haven't done full research, though, to be fair.
it's not
Honest.
orbiting the Earth. I thought they were sending it to Mars. Which one is it?
The one where was it live stream? I don't know. I think it was a live stream where it orbits around Earth.
The solar winds would have destroyed that already. They're plasma rays, dude. If you believe in your model would already crush that car. Glass don't keep up to solar winds, 1,000 degrees Celsius. plasma.
Interesting.
It would have melted everything in the car and exploded anything that had air in it, like the foam, the tires. The glass, believe it or not, has air inside of it through the process. The windshield. All this would have melted.
It claimed it took off and went straight to Mars. It didn't even do an orbit. That's what they say. It didn't do like a gravitational boost orbit like they had to do to get to the moon, right? So that's what they did. They had to do one orbit to supposedly slingshot the craft to the moon. Well, the Tesla didn't do that and went straight to the Mars.
Wow, really?
Yeah, straight to Mars. Not even they didn't even have to. They didn't even add into orbital bullshit. They just like we're just flying right to Mars. This thing's so powerful. Oh my God, we can just take off and go right there.
Kinetic energy, man. Kinetic energy. Conservation.
Unbelievable the amount of bullshit they are like selling to the public.
Man, to me, I think that the Tesla is a layer of horseshit on top of bullshit.
Actually,
How
it's
does- Oh, go
it's
ahead.
thank you. Actually, when people got really angry with the government, stop spending on NASA. Now we have a private company.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, I'm not sure how you describe the phenomenon, but oh no, wait, no, don't worry, I'm an idiot. I just described it myself. Yeah, I was gonna say how yeah, don't worry. I was just stupid there. I didn't think it out.
What?
I was just gonna say I was on the back of a bike and the clouds and the sunlight was breaking through, but it was breaking through at an angle. But I just answered it myself. Yeah, don't worry. What like a 75-degree angle, I assume, something about that. Yeah, it doesn't matter because yeah, sunlight. Don't worry.
Are we talking about parabolic launch or sunlight rays?
I can kind of doodle it if you like, but it is basically irrelevant. I just answered it myself. Damn.
Yeah, my favorite donut shop opens up. It's only open 3 days a week. Opened up at 4 a.m. I was there by 5:30 a.m.
I like donuts.
Man, it's a 130-year-old recipe. These people, their parents came from across seas. They were immigrants, and they started it, and their kids do it now. I'm hooked.
Nice.
That's my vice. Donuts. Better than a lot of other Americans, I'm not a drunkard.
Yep.
Hey, a man can dream, can he?
Right.
Can I have a question for any flat earthers in here? Why do all flat earthers always think that like gravity pulls directly down in all positions on the earth?
Do what?
It's
Sorry, man, you're
Why
roboting
the-
neither.
Yeah, you got to speak up, Aussie. We're not. You're not coming through. Turn the power up.
like turn the. I'll be back in a second. Put up the
I
volume.
think it's your internet connection, buddy.
I'll switch to PC. Hold on.
Just
reconnect it and connect again.
He said internet.
Just-
I was gonna guess he was beta.
Yeah, super beta male. I
Yeah.
mean, super beta max.
They got so many new words nowadays. I gotta ask the kids what's that word? I keep forgetting. Just use the Urban Dictionary. Just these kids crack me up with the definition of that word changed. And if you look it up on an Urban Dictionary, they got an urban definition that perfectly matches what they say it changed to. But if you look it up in Webster's Merriam, it's still the same. It's still the same. Nothing changed.
Yeah, we're going through something where they're trying to change a lot of words in the English language. I mean, a lot, not just like the definition of something slowly shifted. It's like they're trying to change a bunch of words all at the same time.
Yeah, like the N word, they say that definition changed only in an Urban Dictionary. What changed is people use Urban Dictionaries nowadays for real definitions.
Yeah, I know.
Webster's Merriam. I would have failed college. That would have been a fail. My professor's been like, "What's this crap, Mike? Were your parents hippies?" Now tell me, your mom had you at Woodstock, didn't she?
Yeah.
I'm serious. My professor was kind of a dick. Most of them. Nowadays, it seems like they tell the kids what they want to hear. When I was a kid, when I was in school, when I was a young man, it was like, I don't care if you want to hear this or not.
Yeah, exactly. Now the student has more power than the professor.
Would you say
He
that's good or
offended
bad?
me. I'm going to safe space, and I'm going to color with crayons and hug stuffed animals. Like, man, you're 25 years old.
Right. And they just threw us out. If you wanted a safe space, it could be in a different class. You're out of mine.
So, okay, Aussie, try again.
Okay, can you hear me good now?
Better.
Hello.
Yeah, we got you.
It seems as though a lot of flat earthers assume that gravity is pulling straight down, when in reality, my model is pulling to the center.
In theory, it pulls to the center 90 degrees from your relative position.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you saying? Most flat earthers got that wrong? I would disagree.
No, I said it seems as though they believe that it pulls directly down.
That's relative to your position. Center.
Universally directly down, no matter where you are.
Yeah, we know the theory, son.
Okay, I'm just asking.
We don't have it wrong, but before you can pull mass to a central force, you need to first prove curvature. Or there's no central point. You could also prove mass attracting mass. It was scientific proof of that.
That still wouldn't prove it's a ball.
Nope.
It would help.
That center of mass crap kills me. You ask for proof of mass attracting mass, and they go to everything, center of mass, movement of the entire universe, every effect we observe in nature. And then they say gravity. Like, you can't just say gravity. You got to make the correlation, cause and effect. I mean, we got a million effects. We know this. But mass attracting mass, that's just a guess.
I'm pretty sure there's some shape you could make that, like, that the gravity, the direction of gravity, if say you have a flat plane and then you have some amount of mass, that you could make the direction of gravity perpendicular along that whole plane. A donut, something of varying density, who knows? But I'm sure someone could construct it mathematically. I guarantee it.
E equals donut squared.
Yeah. twisted donut. Maybe it's like a jelly stick or something. I don't know. A croissant.
Right. It's like a fake gravity. Those space stations they show with the rotating center. Like literally, they say it creates its own gravitational field. Like, dude, it's just inertia. It's got nothing to do with it.
That's it.
You ever rode the Gravitron?
Oh yeah, like last year. I went to the carnival this year. It wasn't there. I was kind of pissed.
Yeah, I like the Gravitron. I like that one too. We usually go to Cedar Point though. I'll do the fair, and my county's got this thing called the Cart Carnival. That sounds kind of redneck, but it's fun. It's like a giant fair on a lake with fishing games too.
Like with real fish.
Yeah, you go out in the lake and catch. They for a month before the carnival, they catch big carp, and then they tag them, and the tag will have a amount on it. And you win a prize. So
Wow, that's cool.
yeah, you can win up to $3,000.
Damn.
But
That's real cool.
Yeah, you're catching carp during the day. It's real easy at this lake, though. For some people, it's not. But I just put corn. I use corn on the treble hook. That'll get the carp every time. They can't go like the corn puts the chemicals secrete in the water, and they can't avoid the smell. They love it.
That's what you think keeps us on Earth, on a flat Earth or a globe.
Not mass attracting mass, but I'm not trying to replace an unproven theory with an unproven theory that doesn't make sense. Goes against everything I do.
So you're not one of the ones that think it's buoyancy and density, right?
No, I don't. I don't attribute it to buoyancy and density. I would attribute them to an unknown factor.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can. Well, I don't think. I know we can manipulate the rise and fall of objects with buoyancy and density, but whether that just altering that one thing is the cause of things rising and falling, I don't think so. There's too many anomalous things like with that.
Right. I lean more towards the electric universe.
I think buoyancy and density, that being why we stick to the Earth, makes no sense. If you put a metal ball in a bottle of water and the cork will always take the highest position, and the ball will take the lowest.
Yeah, but buoyancy and density doesn't just apply to fluid dynamics. The gradient in the air pressure shows you that.
So let me tell you this: you can go go on YouTube, okay, Google anvil floating in mercury. So the dude takes like 1,000, I don't even know, few 100-pound anvil, chucks it in a bath of mercury, and it just floats. Okay, so on the converse side, another person takes mercury and floats it on salt. So, which makes no sense because mercury is way denser than salt is. So there's some other factor happening. I don't know what it is. I don't think anybody knows what it is yet.
Particle size and surface tension.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But like, there's no like particles of salt, like an individual, like say, grain of salt floating on the mercury. He did it in like a cup. I also considered maybe it was the shape of the glass, maybe because it was kind of tapered. So maybe that had a factor. I don't know.
Some of the salt was floating there, wasn't it? Like a few grains on the surface?
Nah, because well, I don't know. He said there was no float. He said that the salt should be bobbing on top of the surface of the mercury like corks in water, and that it wasn't. I think when he first poured it, it's somewhere on the surface, but they eventually migrated to the edges and went underneath. but it could be an electromagnetic effect, electrical effect, because obviously, like, salt is highly like electronegative, and mercury is like electropositive, I think. So maybe
the whole surface tension thing's always intrigued me because, like, it has to have something to do with some electrical effect. Because, like, you know how you see like a droplet of water that like sits on the underside of like a waxy leaf or something. I wonder if you like put some electrical charge into that leaf, whether the droplet would disperse.
yeah, it's possible. There's a lot of like weird like phenomena that happens when matter is really really close to each other, when it's at this like nanometer, I mean even smaller than nanometer, like millionths of a meter, when they're very close. Like, things that happen are like, there's a bunch of different effects. So there's like the Casimir effect, there's the van der Waals force, there's also like that they found out from doing, what do they call it, scanning tunneling microscope, that there's some sort of tunneling process that happens if you have a sharp tip. So what they observed was, they were taking the electron scanning tunneling microscope, and they observed that they were getting like this carbon like on the tip. It's like a gold tip that's basically one atom, and they were getting all this like carbon atoms on it, and they kept having to clean it and replace it and do all this stuff. But they weren't near carbon, right? So they were actually scanning like the surface of silicone. What was happening was, the carbon from underneath the silicone was tunneling through the silicone, like quantum tunneling, onto the tip through vacuum. Because it's something to do with, it was like I think the separation was like 0.3 angstrom or something. So like, it's like another phenomenon. What was happening was, it was like electromagnetically coupling and tunneling. So like, when things get very very close to each other, there's a lot of different phenomena that happen. Things like surface tension. Surface tension obviously is like some effect of that. I don't think we know, like, I think we have ideas, like there's these bunch of independent theories that are floating around on what happens, and they describe what they describe, but I think it's more complex than that.
What was this for? Like burning a circuit into a silicon chip with a tungsten tip or something like that?
Who is it? What? You lost me somewhere.
No, I didn't listen to the first part of what you said. Was
It's a scanning tunneling microscope, right? So they have a sample, right, and they have the microscope, scanning tunneling microscope. It's not really a microscope in that sense. What it does is it measures a voltage differential between the sample and the tip of the device. So as they move it closer and further away, the voltage will rise and fall, and they can get the shape of the surface by scanning it back and forth, right? But what they noticed was, this tip, atoms were tunneling from behind the sample, because the sample's on top of something, right? So you have your sample, you have what the sample's on top of. It was tunneling through the sample to the tip of the scan, to the scanning. I can't remember what the technical name for it is, but it's basically, it looks like a cone. Okay, so it's like a gold cone with a one atom tip. So the atoms were tunneling through the sample to the tip directly. They're not moving like in the sense of an object moving like a baseball or something. They're literally teleporting. Literally. Like, and you can look it up. It's called look up vacuum phonon tunneling. Phonon, as in PHONON. Phonon tunneling through. It's either phonon tunneling through vacuum or vacuum phonon tunneling, and it's basically their idea at the time was, it was happening because it's in vacuum, right? So these samples are in vacuum, so there's no mode of transmission to get from the sample to the tip. There's no way to go there. You know what I mean? There's no medium from which to go through.
Well, what do you think about this idea of losing an electron and gaining a proton or some shit, and then ending up with a different element?
That's definitely possible. I have no doubt. It probably happens every freaking day. Probably happens all the time, and we just haven't noticed it.
I mean, I have no idea how all this shit works. Like, I know all the names of things and how they work generally, but I don't know. This tip, like, you'd have to know what it's made out of and understand
They're made of gold.
what's actually happening with the microscope. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. So you think it's like so this quantum tunneling? It's like it actually like sort of almost teleports through a material.
It's either quantum like, listen, anything that's in a form of a wave can tunnel, right? It's just the way it is. They've done tunneling through of sonar, right? So sonar has been observed to tunnel through like canyons by the Navy and stuff. So they can like image stuff that's on the other side of stuff by using a quantum tunneling effect. Now they discovered this accidentally because they kept imaging some mountain on the other side of a canyon and they couldn't figure, like, what are we getting here? Like, why are we getting this? So they realized that they were imaging a mountain that was like further away. It was like skipping. It was like going through this area as if it was as if there was no barrier there. There was no intervening space. Anyway, the thing is, they don't know this tunneling from the sample to the tip is done by what they call phonons, which are like thermal vibrations, sound, basically. It's sound. So with thermal vibration, they didn't know if it was that, like the actual thermal motion of the sample or the substrate under the sample, whether somehow that transferred the tip or it was some sort of electromagnetic coupling. They weren't really able to determine that. They just were able to observe the effect.
Maybe it was like a cascading thing where it's like.
But the one thing they did notice is that it transferred heat 23,000 times faster than than like radiation or convection or any other method, because the tip heats up, right? So because it actually is getting like, when the thing like tunnels through, it's not like tunneling through and like teleporting exactly to the tip. It's teleporting to some distance away, and then it strikes the tip like ballistically, like hits it and actually makes an impact. So that impact was causing it to heat up. And as a consequence of that, they noticed like our tips keep getting ruined. What's going on here? And I guess they used gas spectroscopy to figure out, what was on the tip and what it was made of. And it's a long time since I like read it. It's probably like almost 10 years. But people say sound can't tunnel through vacuum, and sound and temperature, it's a pressure difference. So that's what sound is. It's a pressure difference in the air. We call it sound. So this pressure difference, they said, caused the objects to tunnel through the vacuum to the tip of the gold. So they say.
Just like, is that what they call an electron microscope?
Now, an electron microscope, they actually shoot electrons at something. This is called a scanning tunneling microscope, right? So a near field scanning tunneling microscope. So like they are using like a current. It's something called a tunneling current, right? So if I take a really sharp point and I put it over something and apply a voltage bias, that material, that sample is going to leak some current. But how much current it leaks depends on the proximity to the tip.
So
as I scan the tip back and forth, I can tell how close that sample is, and I can get the surface texture of that sample.
So almost like TIG welding, but that's like detection and like very low current.
Yeah, yes, very much like that. Very, very low. I can't even imagine how low it is. but they basically, like, by scanning it back and forth and by watching the rise and fall of this voltage, this tunneling current, they can get a picture of, the surface. Because when you're closer to the surface, the tunneling current rises, and when you're further away. So say you have like a surface with a bunch of bumps, and you're scanning it at one altitude off of that. As there's a rise and fall of the surface, you'll get a rise and fall of the voltage. So you can get a profile of what that surface looks like. I'm like a collector of odd phenomena in my head, and that's like one of them. Sound tunneling through vacuum. People say sound can't go through vacuum. Well, in this case, it can.
So you're saying your mind is an odd phenomenon?
Yeah, full of odd phenomena. I'm like in school when you had like the multiple choice, and you're like, tell us which one doesn't fit in there. My brain just automatically finds them. This does not match those other things.
Yeah, it always to me became on multiple choice the matter of A, B, C, or D, both of the above. And it's like, why do they throw both of the above in there? That's just to really screw you up.
Just remember, the right answer was always on the page somewhere.
Yeah.
You just got to find it.
Well, all of the mathematicians, if you need to guess, you always guess C. Always.
Yeah, well, I'm out. Have a good night, guys.
You too, man.
Hey, all right. Have a good one.
Take care, dude.
Hey, Michael J. Smith, Roche, or Flat Earth Agnostic. Can one of you guys give Can you guys hear me first? Hello.
Yep.
All right. Can you give Logan Nin the new user ID role? I can't do it, dude. My phone's pissing me off. I haven't been able to give a role like in days. Thank you. All right, Logan, and I think you should be good to talk. Feel free to ask any questions. That's what we're here for, man.
All right, thanks. I'm mostly here just to listen because I find these conversations very interesting.
Hey, Logan, do you have any questions, man?
Me?
Yeah.
Um. What's some evidence that people have against a round Earth? Because I'm still on the fence right now.
Yeah.
Very curious. What's some evidence that some people have
Sure.
against
But
it?
I'm first going to tell you the process of this experiment that was conducted or test. It's a laser test.
All right.
And I'll have maybe Battle Mod, if he's listening, or someone else drop the PDF in the voice text for everyone, so you can later grab that PDF and you can download it. It's only about 8 MB. Doesn't take much space, and it's about over 100 pages of it documented. They use purely scientific method. So what they managed to do was obviously, if we were going to measure curvature, we'd have to measure it over water, right? Because the global Earth model predicts that the land isn't a perfect sphere. It's kind of like a potato, they say. So the best place to measure curvature would be over a large bodies of water, because the water is going to conform to a sphere, It should have the most predictable curvature, right? So a bunch of people from this, two people from this server that I know personally went to this test in Lake Balaton, and they were able to go on a pretty much frozen lake, semi-frozen, I believe. And they put a laser above above this lake. The laser's height was about 2 meters, right? So you have a 2 meter high laser, and on a globe model they shot it 23 kilometers. So the globe model predicts that 23 kilometers, that the target height they were only allowed to hit with this laser should have been 90 meters tall. Because obviously the curvature is falling away, so the target that this laser is about to hit has to be 90 meters tall. But what the target they were able to hit at 23 kilometers was 1.5 meters high, actually short, like half a meter shorter than the laser height. And there was zero deviation recorded in this experiment. And it's not the only one they've done. They've done many other ones. They've done one in Lake Is. They did like 7 or 6 other ones in Lake Issel. They've done a microwave test. So it turns out when real people with real good technology, like this is not no cheap laser from like like eBay or something.
Well, yeah,
This
definitely.
laser, yeah, this laser that they bought that they got was actually made just for this experiment. It's a $50,000 laser, and it's so prestige that like this laser like wouldn't even work unless it's leveled. Like they have, and they can punch GPS coordinates in it. It's like an amazing laser, and I believe at the distance of the 23 kilometers, it only went up like a couple of like maybe like I don't want to misquote it, but I'm gonna say it was like about three maybe inches. Like that's how much the beam grew. 3 inches only. It didn't spread out like it was like 20 feet like the laser. It kept about the same divergence, like the same size of beam almost. It rarely diverged. So yeah, Michael J. Smith, you in there, man?
So yeah,
can you drop that PDF file for him?
We posted it.
They just posted it. So they did.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all in there. Yeah. So get that link, man, and check it out, man. That's one of the best proofs for flat Earth, in my opinion, because it destroys the idea of mass attracting mass, because we're not picking up any convexity on water, which they claim that gravity pulls everything to the center of mass. It's also an impossible target to hit on a globe. So it's a very good experiment right there. And there's more of those that are not then as precise as this one, but they're showing the same results. The only one you'll see that doesn't show the same result, you'll see it on television by Discovery Channel.
Okay, but
and they're not gonna give you the information that we're giving you. They're not gonna tell you if they leveled the laser. They're not gonna tell you what type of laser. They're not gonna tell you any of that. They literally did it like a movie, like a show. Like, look, we aimed the laser, and they didn't show any scientific like, we leveled it. We made sure it it didn't do any of that. It's ridiculous. Like it's literally just like a propaganda film to show that they measured curvature at 6 miles when we're doing one over frozen lakes and more prestigious type of experiments, and we're not detecting any. So that's probably the best one right there. And then also, I don't know I'm sure you've looked into the the long distance photography, like impossible photos that you shouldn't be able to observe on a flat Earth. Of course, the globe earthers try to explain everything off with refraction, which refraction is a real phenomena. But the things that they're claiming that are being refracted, they're pretty much saying they're holograms. Like that's not the real mountain. You're seeing a hologram. I mean, you can choose to believe if something is a physical object or if it's a mirage and it's wavy and you can't really tell what it is. I mean, that turns out to be that it's really up to the person to be like, hey, are you honest enough to admit that you don't know what it is, or are you honest enough to admit that it's probably what we're observing? Because we all know what mirages look like. We know how refraction works.
Yeah.
And all these impossible shots that flat earthers are taking, there's so much more impossible shots than any picture of like things that aren't supposed to be seen. Like the globe earthers, their claim is like, things are being obstructed from the bottom, but that can happen on a flat Earth as well. It has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. And they also say the higher you go, the more you see. Same thing. It has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. It has to do with how your eyes perceive. So if you look into angular resolution, you'll understand that the arcs for for the eye are 0.02 degrees arc. So as angles approach 0, what's going to happen is you're going to create this apparent horizon, right? And then your observing angle, since you're close to the ground, becomes too shallow for you to observe things. So you have to understand you already created this apparent horizon, and a building that is much taller than this apparent horizon is going to be obstructed by the apparent horizon because you can't see through that. You can't see infinitely far. So picture it like this: you're drawing an invisible. Sorry, that's the wrong wording. You're drawing this line, right? And you're putting a building further than that line that's taller. It's going to be obstructed by that line that you drew. And it's not even a physical horizon; it's an apparent horizon. So there's like a lot of things to look into, man. I would advise for you to also save that video that this Pitbull just dropped in voice text for everyone. It's called it's by Indio 007, Flat Earth Optics on Flat Earth. He goes really he explains very well in detail how angular resolution works, perspective, vanishing points, convergence, all that stuff. He goes really deep into it, and it's very understandable once you watch that video. For some people that don't understand it.
Gotcha. I'll have to do some looking into a lot of this stuff.
Right. That's good, man. So, what brought you onto the fence, man? You saw some videos. You've been following the flat Earth movement for a while. What's up?
Well, it's just been. I've been sort of on the fence, mostly due to the fact that, they're teaching teaching a lot of this stuff in school, like, oh, Earth is like this, not like this. See, I'm on the fence mostly because I think it could be either way. It's just one side has more evidence, and the other side has nearly an equal amount of evidence, and there's just this huge argument. So,
Yeah. Well, once you start looking into both the evidence, you're going to be able to discern which one is observable, testable, repeatable evidence that you can actually do for yourself, and you're going to realize which one's propaganda. Like one side is really like based on appeal to authority, and you have to trust us. We're smart. We know what we're doing. Just trust us. We figured it out.
Yeah.
And the other side, it's like, hey, we're trying to figure this shit for ourselves. We're not going to trust you. And this is the results we're getting, and they don't match with what you're telling us that to trust you. That's where we're coming from. Anyway, I have to mute myself for a little bit. Can someone take over? And if Logan has any more questions, I have to feed my son. Nice talking.